Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of Can It Take K26, the show where we take a variety of blasters and see if they can be upgraded using a K26 spring. I am your host, Captain Xavier, and today, as promised, we're going to be looking at the blasters that I was sent by BuzzBee to review to see what sort of upgrade potential they have, starting, of course, with the Covert Squad. The Covert Squad was released, I believe, in 2018 and has a radio built into the stock, which is neat. Other than that, it seems to be a fairly standard bolt action blaster, and we're going to see if it can take a K26 or if it has the same internals as previous ones. It does feel stronger as far as the material wise, so maybe this one can handle it. So fun fact, the whole radio in stock is a separate unit, which would make putting a different stock on this much easier if you wanted to repurpose it to build some sort of a cosplay blaster. Now, how does it actually open? I'm getting yeah. So the barrel is solvent welded on, and it looks like this top rail is as well, which is gonna make this hard to modify. And it is the same design. The plunger tube is down below and then feeds up into the barrel. But I think we can actually get the important bit out. So there is the plunger rod. So we can just unscrew it, get the spring off. Well, let's give K26 a try. It's not too much bigger. I think that's going to be a longer length than we're going to want or need. Yep. And we're going to shorten it just a little bit. Take off. Thinking, yeah, we'll take off a full coil. Okay. So the length we're putting in here is 12 coils. Now we just need to button it up and see if it explodes. But first, a word from our sponsor,
Doggy.
Well, there you have it. Alright, let's see if it'll catch. It will! Wow. Alright, well that's a yes, so I'm gonna go put some darts through it and hope it survives and see what we get. Alright, well, that is a yes, and the increase was about 10 FPS. So the stock FPS was coming in at about 80, and then with the K26, it was coming in around 90. So not a huge increase, but definitely an increase. I would be slightly worried about how long this priming handle will be able to take that, but as long as you pull it from the base instead of from the very edge, you should be able to continue to prime it. Now, if you were to put a brass barrel in it, you might get a better seal and might then get better performance. I don't know whether that plunger tube is going to be large enough to really clear. It would clear a regular brass barrel. A full brass breech, I doubt. But just brassing the barrel so that it has a better seal would probably get you a noticeable increase. At that point, you'd probably... Taking out the AR is dubious because I don't think this thing would handle being dry-fired with a K26 very well without an AR, but Yeah, it is an improvement, and even stock, getting 80 FPS isn't bad, really, for, for what this is, for one of these bolt action blasters, because the previous generations were not very good. And so this would actually be a viable option if you really wanted a bolt action blaster, especially for something like a cosplay, because the stock comes off. You could easily put a longer stock on it, something a little bit more accurate, a longer barrel. You'd have to... Oh. It looks like the K26 broke the solvent weld. Or it just... I don't know. Anyway, fascinating. So that came off. And you could put a longer barrel on it to get, to make it a little bit more accurate towards some sort of a bolt action design. Obviously, the shell is very much not smooth and historically accurate in any of that, and you might be able to smooth it out with putty or just, paint it brown and deal with it. Whatever you're looking for. But, yeah, there you have it. A decent bolt action blaster. 90 FPS is not terrible. But, yeah, I like it. The Covert Squad bolt action blasters can take a K26. Let's bring out the next contestant after these messages. All of the K26 used on this series was donated by Out of Darts. Check out his new website at outofdarts.com for all your Nerf modding needs. Our next contestant is the Thermal Tracker. The Thermal Tracker was also released this year, as far as I know. And it is also bolt action, but now it is magazine fed. Though it does also have an opening on the side, so you could hypothetically breech load it if you really felt like it. Which is neat. I think it's kind of neat that they gave you that option. It'll take, of course, standard magazines. And it was coming in a little less than the previous one. But let's see if this one can take a better upgrade. So let's get this thing open. I see. So the stock was extendable. I just hadn't found the button. So there's a button here that allows you to extend the stock. It's still short, but better. Anyway, would not be difficult to put a standard stock attachment point right there. That would be fairly easy, but let's carry on. K26 will definitely fit. One issue we might run into is K26 sliding off the back there, but that can be dealt with easily enough. It also isn't a problem because K26 is thicker. We may help it along a little bit though. Okay, this time we're putting in 15 coils of K26. Hopefully it will compress and catch. And hopefully we'll not be savaged by hounds. Alright, well it's all back in there. Now we just need to button it up and see if it will catch. But first, a word from our sponsor.
Ingenious.
You say that now. See if it'll catch. It will. Alright, let's put a few more of the parts on and then I'm gonna take it out and get some numbers. Well, that's kind of odd. It'll take a K26, but it didn't improve it much by maybe 5 FPS. So either the stock spring was much stouter than I expected, which, it's definitely not K26 weight. Or this thing has more seal issues, worse barrel, who knows. Definitely could probably do with a, brassing the barrel and possibly increasing the seal on the plunger. But, yeah, it will take it. And I gotta say, I really like it as far as being a bolt-action blaster. If you really wanted a bolt-action blaster, this one is smooth. The action is nice. Again, be sure when you're priming it, don't prime it from out here. Prime it from closer in, or the leverage is gonna break off your bolt. So be careful about that. But it does prime smoothly, and it sounds a lot meaner than it used to, but just not getting much of a difference in performance, which is probably a matter of tuning it. I would hope. I don't know how much of a difference that is going to make, brassing the breech and improving the seal. Probably a little. I was surprised that the K26 didn't make as big of a difference as it did, but it will take it. So if you're wanting to build something really good out of this, know that the mechanics can at least take a K26. So there you have it. Let's recap. All right, for those of you just tuning in or who just skipped to the end to see the results, that was a yes for the Covert Squad and a yes for the thermal tracker. And we know how much I like being surprised on this, and both of these surprised me. I was surprised that the Covert Squad could take it at all, and I was surprised that it did get, not a great increase, but it did get an increase in performance. And I wasn't surprised that this one could take a K26, but I was surprised at how little the increase was. So clearly this one needs some more tuning, but I wasn't really surprised because it is just a reshell of the Snipe, and we know that the Snipe can take a K26. This one surprised me. They've improved this one enough that it could hypothetically be made into, if not a great war primary, it would make an excellent cosplay build if you were making something bolt action from World War I or II, something along those lines. This one isn't going to look like anything from either of those eras, but it is nice bolt action, it is magazine fed, and I do kind of like it. Ergonomics on the handle are, of course, horrific, but other than that, I do now know how to extend the stock. That's something. Now that stock is actually a comfortable length. Read the instructions, it helps. Anyway, there you have it. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, suggestions for future episodes, I do have a couple still lined up, and then I'm going to need suggestions. Go ahead and put that kind of stuff down in the comment section, and as always, thank you guys for watching.